the African Union's ambition of being a people-centered organization. The candidates' experience and leadership philosophy align with the AU's Commission's values of efficiency, professionalism, and respect for diversity. We have no doubt the candidate will pursue excellence in line with the continent's collective aspirations of the Africa we want in 2063, as framed in the AU's development framework of Agenda 2063. Let me laud our President, His Excellency Dr. William Samoei Ruto, for fully endorsing the candidate and continuing to extensively engage with his counterparts in diverse regions of the continent. So far, our candidature has been positively received. The President has energized our foreign policy, thus successfully positioning our country as a champion of African affairs in the international arena. As the Cabinet Secretary for Foreign Affairs, I continue to amplify the President's Track 1 diplomacy by engaging my counterparts across the continent. We do all this for the good of our people, Kenya's national interest, and the prosperity of our continent. Ladies and gentlemen, based on the principle of interregional rotation, this is the time for Eastern Africa to nominate a candidate for the position of African Union Commission Chairperson. Therefore, as per the schedule of the AU elections calendar, the deadline for the submission of the regional nominations to the AU Commission is 6th August 2024, 2 months from now. Overall, the campaigns are led by the state with highly experienced and non-lingual officers. The State Department for Foreign Affairs has established a campaign secretariat which includes the candidate's strategy team. The secretariat will prepare all the briefs for use by the candidate, develop campaign materials, including digital presence, and prepare for the public debate to be broadcast live to African citizens. This will take place 6 months before the election date. Currently, the team is farming up preparatory and application documents together with requisite translations of the resume into 6 AU languages. That is French, English, Kiswahili, Arabic, Portuguese, and Spanish. This should be ready for submission to the AU Secretariat by the end of June 2024. An empirical campaign strategy has been developed which includes identifying opportunities, challenges, and risks that our candidature faces. Additionally, the campaign involves outreach programs. Kenya is certain that our candidate, the Right Honorable Raila Odinga, has credentials and the passion to advocate for Africa's interests globally and champion for more opportunities for Africa and her people. I now invite the Right Honorable Raila Odinga to make his remarks. Thank you.
Thank you, Wycliffe. we have had a meeting with the Prime Cabinet Secretary and Cabinet Secretary for Foreign and Diaspora Affairs, my brother, Honorable Wycliffe Musalia Mudavadi, who led a team of government officials. This was in regard to my candidacy for the African Union Commission chairmanship. I wish to reiterate the obvious, that I am vying for a position in Africa, not in the government of the Republic of Kenya. But I need the endorsement of the government of Kenya for that African position. At this meeting, we exchanged notes on the state of the quest so far, the preparations from my side and the government side, and the next steps that require to be taken. The Honorable Prime Cabinet Secretary shared with me the situation and levels of preparation and commitment in the government. I have been very encouraged by the number of senior government officials offering to be part of this journey, out of an understanding that we are in this as Kenya and not as partisan political parties. I appreciate the offer of support. I shared with the government team the situation and my levels of preparation from outside the government. I assured the team that on my own I'm making every effort, tapping into my experience, relationships, and understanding of the continent to win the support of as many nations as I can. With committed and proper coordination between my team and the government, we should be able to clinch the seat. We agreed that coordination and synergy are going to be critical as we embark on the next critical steps that include the submission of my application. We therefore agreed on the need for efficiency, the need to cut bureaucracy, and unveil a well-oiled and flexible joint effort going forward. Like all campaigns, plans emerge and change suddenly. Demands arise and change suddenly, and we need to be able to respond to them as suddenly as they emerge. We also agreed on the need to understand the sensitivities in this quest that include national, regional, continental, and global dimensions to this quest, and therefore the need to always act responsibly, bearing all these sensitivities in mind. Once again, I thank Kenyans and the government for the support, and we promise to keep updating the country on the status of the race. As I conclude, I just want to say that I have been requested by many friends, because many people have been surprised and wondering how I came to this. Many of my friends from outside Kenya approached me and told me that this position of AU chairmanship is becoming vacant next year. They have looked around the continent and feel that among the people whom you offer themselves, you have the best credentials to take this organization forward. after lots of soul searching and consultations among my colleagues and friends, I made the decision to agree to accept the request. As you know that I had been the African Union High Representative on Infrastructure Development for 5 years. That position gave me an inside picture of what is happening in the AU, what the potentialities are in the AU, what are the challenges, and what are the weaknesses that they exist there. I believe that I have sufficient knowledge and experience to be able to move the AU forward. The AU is an institution that was founded by the founding fathers of our nation. And their dream was an Africa that was united, an Africa that was cohesive, an Africa that was developed. The development of Africa can only be done by Africans. I am myself a Pan-Africanist and an Afro-optimist. Afro-optimist as opposed to Afro-pessimist. Afro-pessimists are the people who are given hope in Africa, say that Africa is a lost cause, is a condemned continent. Afro-optimists are those who believe in the ability of the African people to develop Africa. That Africa, the richest continent on the planet Earth in terms of resources, is also the poorest in terms of development. This is a paradox that we want to solve. We want Africans to be able to take charge of Africa. We want to expand the communication and trade among the African people. I was telling my brother here that when I was a student in Europe in the 60s, it was a nightmare to travel across the continent of Africa, of Europe. In Europe, to move from one country to the other, you needed a visa. And if you didn't have a visa to transit to one country, they arrested you at the border and returned you where you come from. Today you can travel across the whole of Europe, the Schengen visa. You want to enter somewhere and you can go to all parts of Europe. Yet in Africa you still have a problem. Aliko Dangote, one of the most prominent African businessmen, was saying just the other day that he needs 35 visas to travel across the continent of Africa. His French counterpart, who is his competitor, does not need, using a French passport. With a Nigerian passport, you need 35 visas to travel the continent of Africa. You ask yourself why? Why can you not have one African visa? It can be done. You can connect the whole of this continent. And that's why I've been talking of the story of African lion. The African lion must wake up now and claim the 21st century as the African century. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen.
Thank you, the Right Honorable Raila Odinga. Ladies and gentlemen, having listened to Baba, I now wish to make the following concluding remarks. Indeed, despite the world becoming more fragmented and competitive, Kenya believes that multipolarity presents economic and geopolitical opportunities for Africa. Therefore, a whole of AU strategic approach to the emerging world will enable member states to project a common voice on global matters of consequence and enhance Africa's bargaining power for mutual benefit. And indeed, the Right Honorable Raila has summed this up. Therefore, for the continent to speak and act as one, the African Union Commission Chair the African Union will have to be more proactive and strategic in overcoming the persistent challenges that beset the African Union, namely funding shortages, logistical inadequacies, and the cyclic nature of conflicts. Additionally, the AU continues to grapple with cases of political instability and economic intricacies, weak international influence, and a new external influence driven by a new Cold War in the continent. As a continent, we therefore need to focus on dimensions that promote our unity and enhance sustainable development for the citizens of Africa. This will include infrastructural connectivity, and he has spoken briefly to that aspect from his previous assignment, reduction in costs of doing business in the continent, accelerating the realization of the visa-free program, and promoting a common language for Africa. Also important is environmental protection of the climate. Environmental protection of the climate. The continent should work in one voice to campaign for reform of the international organizations and global financial institutions. The AU should be represented on the strategic international institutions, including membership to co-decision-making organs of the UN. We shall promote functional non-alignment that strategically seeks to establish mutually beneficial relationships globally. And I just want to emphasize here that the chairman of the AU Commission also holds the seat for Africa on the G20 forum. Ladies and gentlemen, the candidate, Honorable Raila Odinga, is a renowned champion of Think Africa above all. As per the AU values and inherently motivated by the AU vision, an integrated, prosperous and peaceful Africa driven by its citizens and representing a dynamic force in the global arena. Our continental body should increase Pan-African awareness among a critical mass of citizens and promote the Africanization of our elites to properly contribute Africa's development goals and discourses. Kenya therefore envisions an AU that drives the continent beyond silencing the guns to achieving peace, sustainable peace and security for collective prosperity. We have a long experience of supporting the AU and regional bodies as well as bilateral engagements to foster peace and security regionally and globally. We envisage an AU that will give a greater voice to the continental crisis that have often become forgotten conflicts as other global crises elsewhere get huge humanitarian and political attention. As a government and a country, we wish the Right Honorable Raila Odinga God's speed in this noble endeavor for the continent.